about fractions and ratios and how they're connected together, right? So we have a problem here. It says Steph Curry scored 5 points to every 3 points that Klay Thompson scored. Klay Thompson scored 60 points. How many points did Steph Curry score, or did Steph score? So the first thing here is that we know that if I were to draw this as a tape diagram, I'd have 5 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I would know that down below I'd have 3. Okay, make it so that we can see that there's a difference between the two. So this is K, and do the top one as S. Okay, so I could see this here as a 5 to 3 ratio, right? And I could see that there's a difference between them. This can also be represented here as saying that, say, Steph Curry has 5/3 of the amount that he has, that Klay Thompson has, or I could see it as 3/5, depending on what we're talking about. Okay, so in here, let's kind of dig a little bit further. As we look at it, we see that Klay Thompson scored 60 points. How many did Steph score? So for us, that tells us right here that this here, if I'm going to look at it, this here is equal to 60. Okay, equals 60. Okay, fraction here, I can see that I have 3/5, and I know that that top number is going to be equal to 60. And I have that over some number, okay, because I know that these have to be equivalent fractions here. The ratio and the fraction have to be the same. To get from 3 to 60, okay, I can multiply it by 20, okay? 20, 40, 60 is going to get me there. So 20, 40, 60, right? It would be the same as if I did these here, which means then if I did the same thing up above with my 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'd have my 20 in each of them, 20, 20, 20, 20, 20, or 5 times 20 is going to get me over here to 100. So x has to equal 100. You would have 100 points. Okay, and I could see that these two would be equivalent. Okay, that 60 100ths is equal to 3/5. Okay, so which is awesome. Again, big picture, figuring out what information I have and setting it up there as a fraction will help me kind of look and see exactly how they're equivalent. Again, paying attention to what it is that the information they're giving me within the question. Let's go and try something slightly different. So we have this pancake recipe. It's called for 2/3 of a cup of milk to 2/3 or to 2 cups of milk. So there's a lot of things that you could do with this here. So I know that I've got 2/3 here, and I've got 1 and 2, right? So and I got my 2/3 here up on the top, okay? So I can kind of see that this is not quite a whole, and I know that I have 2 wholes here, okay? And if I say, for example, I added on to this, I could add a couple different ways to add on to this. If I was making 3 batches of pancakes, how much milk and how much flour. I should say flour over here, sorry, not milk. Flour, like flour, what I need. This here is one batch. If I think about this in this context, I could think here as this is one batch here. So if I now had to do a second batch here, 2/3, 1 and 1, okay, and then 2/3, 1 and 1, right? I can see that I have 2/3 plus 2/3 plus 2/3. I can see that I've got a 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and a 1, right? So I've got 6 ones, which is really the same as if I looked at my 2 and my 3 and I multiplied them together. So this is really the same as 2 groups or 3 groups of 2. Okay, so 2 times 3, which is 6 cups of flour. And on the top, I've got 2/3 plus 2/3 plus 2/3, right? If I add those together, I have 6/3. Okay, so 6/3 of flour, which I know that if I I can see here visually, 3 is half of 2, so this is really equal to 2 whole cups of milk, 2 cups of milk, okay? What if I went the other direction? What if I went the other direction? Instead of going and saying that it was gonna be 3 batches of pancakes, I only wanted to make a half of a batch, okay? So if I wanted to go with half of a 1 batch of of my recipe, right? Because my first batch is 2/3 of a cup of milk. There's 2 cups. Maybe I'm not making it for as many people. So instead of this, so if this is my one batch here, this is one batch, 2/3, I got one, and I've got one, right? This is all one batch. I want to equal half of a batch, okay? So if I looked at this as half a batch, I'd have to split up my 2/3, and I see that there's 2 of them, so that would really take my 1/3, and I got rid of my other 1/3, that's my other batch, right? So this is here, right? And I could see that I'd have 1 cup over here, and my other 1 cup would be over here, right? So here, if I were to make a half of a batch, okay, I could divide this in half, and I'd have 1/3, and I'd have 1 whole, okay? Another way to think about the problem that is up above here is to think about it in the context of multiplication. So not just by multiplying here, but if, for example, I said that he had 60 points, I could say that Steph Curry here has 5/3 of 60, right? Which is really like going 5/3 times 60, which is really, again, since it's a whole number, it's over 1, right? So 5 times 60 here equals 300. I've got that 3 times 1, right? Multiply them together. 3 times 1 is equal to 3. If I then divide 300 by 3, I get 100 remaining, okay? So as you're going today, make sure that you're setting them up as fractions, thinking about what would make them equivalent fractions, also paying attention to the information that they're providing for you.